Hey guys, this is part 2. If you haven't checked out part 1, go check that out first.
That's the kind of self-sacrifice that makes for a good ruler, if it's any consolation.
Did she love him?
It's not.
No, I suppose not. I'm terrible at consoling.
Yes, you really are.
Aww.
I said farewell to a man who loves me. A man I thought I cared for.
Thought you cared for?
And I felt nothing.
He wasn't the first to love you. And he won't be the last.
You have completely failed to console me.
I said no thank you to belief. And yet, here I am.
Believing in you.
I believe in you. It's embarrassing, really.
I had something made for you. I don't know if it's right.
Oh, you're not sure if it's right. How does she know what it looks like, even? Who would know? The hand of the queen. Is he gonna cry? Can I hug you? I think he wants to hug her. But that would be improper. Filch. Can Jamie stab him in the back? Or in the front, if that matters to his honor at all.
You're not one of mine.
Meat pie. This is the one that,
Where am
was looking at Jamie.
Sons?
But they're already here, my lord.
What is going on?
Here, my lord.
What? Is that a toenail? Is that a toe?
They weren't easy to carve,
What the f-
especially Black Waldo.
Who the heck? Oh. Oh.
My name is Arya Stark. I want you to know that. The last thing you're ever going to see is a Stark smiling down at you as you die.
Welcome back to Westeros. Oh, she brushed his hair. He died the same way Catelyn did. Ah, you're gonna like reach in there for fun? Oh, she's back. Oh, he is dangerous.
Picture of me
On the throne.
on the Iron Throne.
What really made him
You
want
on
it
my
that much?
side.
Huh.
I've declared for House Stark for all to hear.
Cersei will come for you.
Declared for other houses before Lord Baelish. It's never stopped you from serving yourself.
The past is gone for good. Who should the North rally behind? True-born daughter of Ned and Catelyn Stark, born here at Winterfell? Or a motherless bastard born in the South?
Is that an option? Can they rally behind Jon? I mean, she's gonna be Lordress, Lady of Winterfell. But, oh, we get to see the end of this. This is the reunion we all wanted. Except for they're both dead already, so.
I want to be brave.
What?
If Robert finds out you can,
What?
you have to protect him.
Protect him.
Promise me, Ned.
I think we just got confirmation. Unless George R.R. Martin is screwing with us big time. It is a baby. Lyanna had a daughter, had a son, had a child. Did you know that, Bran? Haha. Jon Snow. Yes! Oh, man. Kick some ass, Lyanna.
Your son was butchered at the Red Wedding, Lord Manderley. But you refused the call. You swore allegiance to House Stark, Lord Glover. But in their hour of greatest need, you refused the call.
Oh my god. Shame. Shame.
You, Lord Kerwin, your father was skinned alive by Ramsay Bolton. Still, you refused the call.
Shame. Shame on
But
you.
House Mormont remembers. The North remembers.
Oh,
We
I
know
love her.
no king, but the king in the North whose name is Stark. I don't care if he's a bastard. Ned Stark's blood runs through his veins.
Oh.
He's my king, from this day until his last day.
Oh, what? Jon, King in the North. King in the North.
My son died for Robb Stark, the young wolf. I
Holy
didn't think
crap.
we'd find another king in my lifetime. I didn't commit my men to your cause, because I didn't want more Manderleys dying for nothing. But I was wrong. Jon Snow avenged the Red Wedding. He is the White Wolf.
The White
king
Wolf.
in the North.
Littlefinger doesn't look happy about this.
And I will stand behind Jon Snow. The king in the North!
King in the North!
The king in the North!
Oh, man. Oh, Davos, too. Look at Lyanna. Her little voice, I love hearing it. Oh, man. The thing is, he wasn't made for this. He was never raised to be this. Ooh, this isn't part of Littlefinger's plans. He's gonna find out about his son. It didn't even occur to me who's in charge. I mean, is Cersei gonna just walk down and sit there and be like, I'm queen? Do they typically kneel to put the crown on? Was that what he's waiting for? But who are these people in the crowd? Who wants to watch this happen? Cersei. The cello. Welcome back, brother. He knows it means Tommen's dead. Long may she reign. Why did I repeat that? Why did I repeat that? Please no. Be gone by like end of season 7. You won't be queen for long, Cersei. Wait, so what about the dragons though? They like have to. They don't have anywhere to land. They're gonna have to fly the entire way. Oh, I know. One dragon can sit on top of another dragon, and the other dragon can fly. I'm just kidding. Yeah, everybody's making this trip except Dario and some of the Second Sons. All of the Second Sons. Wait, what is Varys? Wasn't Varys in Dorne? What the? How did he get? He came back already? He came back just to make this trip back. Nice. That is a lot of ships. Alright, before we get started, I just want to give some end of the season big shout outs. First, to my moderators, thank you so much for your hard work. I haven't had any plot points spoiled for me thanks to you, and it's always nice to see your comments. Great job. And then over to the guys on Patreon, thank you so much for your support. Making videos is incredible fun, but it is hard work, and you're allowing me to continue doing this. Thank you, thank you. So on to the episode. My God, I don't think something this big has happened so early in an episode so far in the show. The episode played it like very slowly at first. We were all happy to see the Stark sigil at Winterfell in the opening credits. I don't want to say all. Most of us. I'm assuming 95% of us. enjoyed seeing that. And then I was a little surprised to see the twins and Dorne. I was just like, oh yeah, I forgot Dorne is a thing. Like, I just forgotten it existed. But then it shifts from that happy Stark moment to a whole few minutes of people getting dressed for the big trial, just building up the tension slowly. Very nicely done. The High Sparrow putting on his nicest potato sack. I think that was the first time we heard piano music on the show, though. I could be very much mistaken, but even if we have heard it before, it was never like this. And yeah, the music leading up to into that scene was just so different from everything we've had so far. Perhaps just signaling the big sweeping changes about to come to the show. But Loras' trial starts first, and it's so tragic. His last moments were spent suffering, confessing to committing crimes, getting carved into. This man used to be like the heir of Highgarden. He had confidence about him. I remember Jaime at Joffrey's wedding being like, "You'll never marry Cersei," and him responding, "And neither will you," with so much confidence. Just all of him is completely stripped away, and he's forced into a completely new identity. Like, he thinks giving up on his life as a Tyrell and serving a religion that shits all over who he is preferable to another moment of their torture. And he goes through all of that torture just to have his life snuffed out moments later. If you were going to do it, Cersei, couldn't you have done it a little bit sooner? But yeah, the Sparrows are cutting into Loras, and Margaery had to stop Mace from jumping in. Like, that was intense. Because I keep bringing up the fact that Tyrion had said Cersei's only redeeming quality is the love of her children and her cheekbones. And I've talked about how I don't think her love is actually that redeeming because it's self-centered. But I think the fact that the only redeeming quality is the love of your children might apply to Mace Tyrell. He's been subpar and kind of clueless this entire series, anytime he's been on screen. But I actually felt a twinge of connection to him when he saw his son being carved into and he was trying to get out to help him. So yeah, maybe his only redeeming quality is the love of his children. Maybe his love for his children and his impeccable singing voice. Maybe. It's hard to tell from that scene. But then we see Pycelle being led into a room with Qyburn by the children, the little birds. And you could feel something big was probably going to happen, but the moment those children drew their blades, it was just like, yeah, there's going to be so much violence in this so early in the episode. Margaery was the only one who figured out what exactly was happening with Cersei. Not the wildfire, but she knew something was going to happen. She knew they were in trouble. Definitely, if I could have chose two people to have made it out of there, it would have been her and Loras. Seeing them go through so much and then having them die right when it seemed like the worst was over, and they might have had a chance at retaliation sometime down the line. That's what I was thinking, and then destroyed. Lancel is familiar with Wildfire too. He saw it at the Battle of Blackwater, so seeing him crawl towards the candles and being just too late to stop it is really powerful. And the blast was obviously incredible. It solved all of Cersei's most pressing problems. Like, granted, she created those problems herself in the first place, but yeah, the only thing she really has to worry about now is Daenerys and the White Walkers. I think that's it. Like, I don't even know if she knows or believes that the White Walkers are a problem or a threat. I mean, if she doesn't go after Sansa, like, the only things that are actively trying to threaten her, try to take her out, are, yeah, the White Walkers and Daenerys. But yeah, so much for my thoughts on Wildfire being used against invaders. I was thinking, like, Daenerys comes in and Cersei blows up the city to wipe out all the invaders. I wasn't completely sure about how the structure of everything was set up with the wildfire in the city. I thought that Aerys designed it so that it would, if the wildfire went off in one area, the others would go off too. So that's why it didn't occur to me that Cersei could use wildfire to just blow up the set. But yeah, that also means that there should still be a lot of wildfire under the Red Keep, the guild halls, and through a lot of the rest of the city. I think those called the main thoroughs, the main streets, basically. So I'm curious if the show will have wildfire be a key plot point again in the future. It would be nice if they used it against the White Walkers up there, but I don't see that happening. I don't see how that could happen yet. But the scale of that power grab, Cersei didn't need an army or anything. Just in one fell swoop, just everything was done. I really felt for Tommen though. Like, he saw his mother for who she really was. His wife died. He was already deeply depressed, and it made sense for his character, but it was still really difficult to watch him jump. I know some people were tired of him being weak and not doing anything, and some of them said they missed Joffrey because he would have never let any of this happen. But did that scene hit you guys hard anyway? Like, how many non-sacrificial suicides have we seen on the show? Like, I'm glad they didn't show us his landing. That would have been a little too gruesome, and yikes. Now I'm imagining it. Like, I just realized King's Landing. That would be the King's Landing. Yeah, okay. But that was unintentional. But I don't feel good about his death. I don't feel so good about his death to intentionally make jokes about it. But man, poor kid. Spent his life being tortured by his brother, then manipulated by everybody. I think it's important that we didn't see anybody's like real reaction to Tommen's death. And we didn't see Cersei. Why is my computer being loud? Okay. We didn't see Cersei mourn for him. We didn't see Jaime mourn for him. She tried sending the mountain to keep Tommen from the trial, but it seemed like she already made her peace with her actions and their possible consequences. And I guess she knew all along that he was going to die due to the prophecy anyway, so I don't know. She made her peace with it, probably. But Tommen was a good kid. No, he was not a great king, but he was a good kid. And then they didn't even give us any time to process his death, his suicide, like immediately cutting to the phrase. Speaking of the phrase, watching the first few scenes with them, knowing what I knew by the end of the episode, while I was editing, I was just like, oh my god, like I can see what's happening right now. But Arya, my god, it's interesting that she lets Jaime notice her noticing him. You'd think she'd try to avoid as much attention as possible. I don't think there's any way she could have known that what Jaime did to try and protect her family. And honestly, I guess Jaime got lucky that she wasn't there to kill him. Maybe that's what it was about. She was smiling to try to get him into bed and then kill him. But he left too early, or maybe she decided... Maybe when she was looking at him, she was just deciding whether or not to kill him. But Walder Frey, she finally takes Walder Frey out. So, she tries to feed his sons to him, though. But everyone truly responsible for the Red Wedding is now dead. Tywin, Walder Frey, Roose Bolton. I think that's that. But welcome back to Westeros, Arya Stark. She's gonna tear people apart. She's now an assassin, and I'm very curious what her abilities in like one-on-one combat are if she doesn't have the chance to sneak up on somebody or surprise them. And there are so many people she could run into depending on where she's heading. Like, imagine her running into the Brotherhood and the Hound again. She could also go home to Winterfell. She could head to King's Landing to go after Cersei. But yeah, how strong are the abilities to change between faces? I know there's like some magic that changes your body as well. Like, after all, when Arya arrived in Braavos, like Jaqen appeared as a black man at first. Is that technically blackface? Alright, I won't get into that because it's nothing like actual blackface in the real world, but very curious about, like, if she took the face of the Mountain, would she have the physique and the strength of the Mountain? That would be incredible. But yeah. We see Dorne and Illyria's trying to make an alliance with the Tyrells. And Olenna shuts up the Sand Snakes. It was actually really, really funny. Let the grown women speak. But Illyria offers Olenna vengeance and enter Varys. Frickin' Varys. And I think Varys and Olenna seem to be fond of each other. They were talking before several seasons ago. And he came to make alliances. And 2 of the 7 kingdoms is not a bad way to start. But Daenerys chooses to leave Daario in Essos because he'd be a liability in Westeros. I don't know. I feel like I like Daario as a character, and I felt for him when he found out she was leaving him behind. But I felt kind of like Daenerys, like, bye Daario. Like, I don't, okay. But yeah, I actually found Daenerys' interaction with Tyrion way more emotional. And I'm 100% convinced Tyrion wanted to give her a hug after she makes him Hand of the Queen. And we see her sail for Westeros. It does feel like the show is entering its final few acts. I know there are only 13 episodes to go. So, yeah. But But yeah, Daenerys mentions to Daario that she might marry for the sake of an alliance. I don't think she has all that many possible suitors in Westeros. Like, Euron is out. She's already made an alliance with Yara, and Dorne and Highgarden have no male heirs and are already her allies already. So she doesn't need to marry for an alliance with them. Could it be the Stormlands? I don't even know. Like, the Stormlands haven't played a big role in the story at all, really. Robert Baratheon died, and I don't know what else happened after that. Yeah, I don't even know who's at the Stormlands. Riverrun is empty. I thought of somebody really interesting who could try to marry her. Littlefinger. Can you imagine? Interesting that Littlefinger tried allying with Sansa when he knows Daenerys is coming. I'm just like imagining if he waits for Daenerys wherever she lands and like proposes to her on the spot. Does he offer enough to get her on his side though? Because he doesn't have control of the North. He wanted to be king of the North. Maybe if he was king of the North, he would ally with Daenerys and then take over King's Landing and then kill her. But I don't know. But yeah, I don't know if it's be too traitorous having just declared for House Stark to then declare for Daenerys. Also, Varys would heavily advise Daenerys against it, marrying Littlefinger, which actually leaves the only person really left that we've met is Jon Snow, right? Like, he's the only candidate left to be married, unless like Randall Dickon Tarley. He could be. He's not. I don't know. It sounds like it could be a possibility, but I don't know. He's too small of a character for it to make sense. But yeah, the Targaryens did have a thing for marrying sisters and cousins and brothers and siblings, whatever. Jon is technically Daenerys' nephew, based on a scene we see later, but she was a baby when he was born, so there's no like ridiculous age gap. If you forget about the incest for a bit, not something I would ever say in real life, but that's probably the biggest political marriage she could carry out. I don't know how interested Jon would be. Like, he hates the Lannisters, but the White Walkers are a much bigger concern. If she pledges to help him with the White Walkers, it's possible. But yeah, that'd be incredible. Like, the dragons would be the perfect counter to the White Walker army. Just take down all the whites and then have Sam like poke the Night King with dragonglass. The end. Sam is the hero of the Seven Kingdoms, and he sits on the Iron Throne. Now that I think about it, if the White Walkers are defeated, there's really no use for the Wall anymore, is there? Sam could be the Stark's Maester. That'd be pretty cool. I don't know what else he could do. He might. I don't know if he'd go home. I don't think he likes home unless somebody kills Randall Tarley. But yeah, speaking of Sam, he arrives at the Citadel. He's such a cheery fellow. The way he said hello to the guy at reception, it was great. And just several more of his lines there were great. But I was really sad that Gilly couldn't go with Sam to see the library. Like, she thought it was possible that the library at Castle Black was like all the books ever written. Like, I can't imagine what her face would be like if she saw the entire library. But I don't know how they sort everything in that library. Like, what did they use before the Dewey Decimal System? And it's just really interesting to think about, like, these little details. But seeing Sam's face so happy was a lot of fun. That was great. But then we come to a very serious moment with Davos and Melisandre. We've never seen Davos that emotional before, and it was really hard to watch. When Mathos died, he was a casualty of war, but Shireen's death was just so pointless. And hearing him say he loved her like a daughter, seeing him tear up, I would make a joke about cutting onions, but I'm not even in the mood after watching that. And then he asks Jon to execute her. Yeah, Davos really can't catch a break, can he? Like, Jon... Man, everything's just going wrong for Davos since the beginning, I guess. But Jon sends Melisandre away, and I don't know what exactly she'll do now. She still wants to serve the Lord of Light, and she thinks Jon is the promised prince. Does she try to sway the rest of the kingdom the rest of the kingdoms in his favor somehow? Send people up north to the Wall? I'm not sure. Jon and Sansa had some nice interactions in this episode, though. Jon deferring to her with Ned in Catelyn's room. I don't think we've seen that rune since Ned and Catelyn first got Lysa's note that Robb and Arryn had supposedly been murdered by the Lannisters. Jon still carries the weight of being a bastard around with him, though, saying he's not a Stark, but it was very sweet of Sansa to say that he is to her. And we found out that the White Ravens sent out by the Citadel meant that winter is here. So there's a lot of emotion with that, given how much Ned was saying winter is coming. It was nice to see them smile a little bit, even though winter is coming is not the greatest thing. But yeah, Littlefinger wants to take Sansa as his bride to take control of all of the Seven Kingdoms. I find it very interesting that he thought in any way that she might be on board for that. I'm glad Sansa doesn't trust him just because he came to her aid. I'm curious why he didn't make it a condition for him coming to her aid. But yeah, I feel like the Starks do owe the Vale for coming, and an alliance is the very least that can be expected. Though the little thing, if Sansa pulls a Littlefinger, I feel like what she should do right now is to reveal to Lord Royce and everybody else in the Vale that Littlefinger killed Lysa, have him killed, and form an alliance with the Vale on her own. That would be the smart thing to do, I feel like, but I feel like she would see doing that to Littlefinger as a betrayal right now, even though if she knew all the details about how Littlefinger betrayed Ned, I think she would do it. But yeah, in between all of this, Bran finally gets dropped off near the wall by Benjen, who apparently can't pass the wall. The walls, they said there's magic around the wall that blocks people, blocks the dead. So he's basically dead, I guess. He said he was practically dead and then kept alive with dragonglass, but I guess he's still counted as dead. But Bran finally finishes the vision of Ned's reunion with Lyanna, and she gave birth before she died, and they cut from the face of the baby to Jon Snow. If that's not confirmation, I don't know what is. I swear if the show pulls out a twist later on with Jon Snow, I'm gonna be so mad. But Jon Snow is actually her son. Like I've said that before, the only thing that makes sense would be that he's Rhaegar's child. But it seems like Lyanna dies right there. There was so much blood. But yeah, I think that still makes, because they married out of wedlock, because they had a child out of wedlock, I guess Jon is still technically a bastard. Just Snow might not be. She was born. I think in one of the history and lores they said that they were in Dorne. So would he technically be a Sand? Or does it doesn't matter where you were born, or is it just under who's? Because Lyanna was a Stark. Is he a Snow because he was? I don't know. Whatever. But we got two Lyannas in this episode. Lyanna freaking Mormont, calling out all the other northern houses. I loved every second of that, and they definitely left this reveal of Jon Snow's parents to the right moment. We find out, and right after that, he's declared king in the north by Lyanna freaking Mormont. I knew Sansa viewed him as a Stark, but I wasn't sure how on board she'd be with him being the king of the north. But we see her smiling immediately, so that's good. One of the lovely mods on this channel, Jessica, mentioned that the cloak and strap thing Sansa gave Jon and wove for Jon was very reminiscent of those that belonged to Ned. She wanted others to see him as Ned, so it makes sense that she's on board for him being the king of the north. I don't know what my initial hesitation was about. I think maybe, I don't know. I thought maybe some people still thought of him as a bastard. But everybody in that room is showing their support, except for Littlefinger. Doesn't seem like this was part of his plans. He wanted to be with Sansa, and he wanted the North to pledge for her. So yeah, devious man. And then we have Jaime arriving back home. Turns out Cersei didn't need his help after all. I don't know how he feels about this. The show didn't really convey to us. I can't imagine how I'd feel if I came back to a city and found out that the woman I love blew up the city. I mean, he did share the anger Cersei felt for their enemies and wanted to kill them all. But I don't know. We don't see his reaction to Tommen's death either. And the look he shared with Cersei, I don't know what to make of it. He did kill the last person who wanted to use wildfire to blow up the city. So yeah, I don't know how he feels. But last thoughts, both people who were killed Both people who killed people at weddings were punished this episode. Walder Frey's line is wiped out for what he did at the Red Wedding. Olenna and the future of Highgarden, or Olenna is still alive, but the future of Highgarden was destroyed after she killed Joffrey. And Littlefinger is the only one to avoid justice so far. Of course, Cersei didn't even know Olenna or Littlefinger is responsible, so I don't know if she'll ever find out. And I'm hoping Littlefinger gets his at some point. I don't know how long he stays afloat, though. Another thought, I want to adopt Lyanna Mormont. She is amazing. Other fictional daughters I wouldn't mind adopting are Ellie from The Last of Us and Alexis from the TV show Castle. Except Alexis is kind of like my age, so I don't know about... Yeah. I don't know about any other fictional girls I'd want as daughters, but I'd love to have a lot of them as friends. But yeah, those three are at the top of my adoption list. We saw Varys in Dorne this very episode, and yet he's on the ship to Westeros with Daenerys at the end of the episode. It's a little funny that he sailed back to Essos just so he could sail to Westeros again. Like, it's just back and forth. I'm assuming it was because he got the Tyrells to give them to lend Daenerys some ships and carry all the men with them. That would make some sense. What else? Cersei has got some problems. She's got Daenerys coming in hot, a new king of the north who I'm sure has an axe to grind eventually. Dorne and Highgarden will soon be in open rebellion with Daenerys. I mean, Euron is building ships so she could get on board with that. Though it'd be funny if Euron didn't hear about what Daenerys' pact with Yara, and he just like sails to Essos, and Daario is just like, "You want to offer what to my queen?" and just like murders him. I guess Cersei has the support of the Stormlands. She was the mother of the last Baratheons, supposed Baratheons. I don't know. The Freys are gone now, though. That's a pretty big power vacuum in the Riverlands. Like, who has the most to gain from taking it? Or who's most likely to take it? Littlefinger? Like, would that make sense for him? He could argue he helped the Blackfish's great niece to get some people on his side. Anyway, guys, I'm going to give this episode 5 direwolves. Definitely an amazing episode. So much hype built up and so many payoffs. Really loved it. I don't know how presidential candidates at town halls and like speeches give like half an hour or hour-long speeches. I've been talking for 23 minutes and I haven't even been like talking loudly, and my throat is dying. But yeah, I don't have that many end of season predictions to make. At this point, Cersei is on the throne, and she either stays there or Daenerys or Jon takes it. I think. Though I don't think Jon would even necessarily want it, which I feel like makes him uniquely qualified for it. That's what I thought from the very start. Could be that the Night King sits there in the end. I'm just imagining being like, this chair is pointy. I like it. Can White Walkers talk? We've heard them screech before, but never heard them say anything actually. Who will die in season 7? I don't know what I think. Does Cersei get taken care of and season 8 is all about the White Walkers? I don't feel like that's the case. I don't think we'll see any of the quote-unquote bad guys die simply because we don't have that many of them left. Need to save them for like a big season 8 finale. But who do I want to see go out in a blaze of glory? I feel like the story isn't directly suggesting people who will die. There are so many characters I feel super protective of, and I feel like those are the ones in most danger. Davos, like, is it finally his time? He's been on the show. He's been on my list of like who's gonna die next season like once or twice. I'm just like, showrunners, are you ready to rip our hearts out yet? I don't know. It does feel like the lead up to next season has Cersei at too big of a disadvantage, but she tends to turn things around rather quickly. So which houses are most vulnerable for her to take out or get on her side? Dorne and Highgarden have different leaders, but their militaries are still strong. And there's no way she's attacking in the north, so I don't really have any clue I don't know where the story's going for once. Maybe someone who could die is someone on Arya's list. She's a huge threat now. Ilan Payne's actor left the show for health reasons, so he can't be it. There's Beric Dondarrion, Melisandre, The Mountain, Cersei. I feel like Beric Dondarrion is the most likely out of those 4, considering it would also mean a reunion with Sandor Clegane, and that I feel like they have to pay that off somehow. But then Thoros of Myr could just revive Beric, so maybe she kills Thoros of Myr and Beric? I don't know. But anyway, guys, my throat is gonna die. It's been 25 minutes. So everyone, be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. If you're watching this on YouTube and you want to see the next 3 episodes right now, make sure to check out the early access option on Patreon in the link in the description below or over here. All right, thanks for watching. Bye, friends.